Hello, and welcome back to the VictoriousWool podcast. I'm Victoria. I'm a knitwear designer living in the Pacific Northwest of Washington State. This is episode 40, and I am not at home. I'm house sitting for friends, so I have this beautiful spot to podcast today. I did walk around the house with my camera to find the best spot. Where's the lighting going to be the best? What's the most interesting to look at? I did set everything up in front of a blank wall, and I thought, it's kind of boring. I wouldn't enjoy watching that as much, so I came back out into the living room to see if the lighting was going to be okay. There's the same kind of windows in front of me too, so it's hard to know what's going to be the best place for you to see all the things I have to show you. So I have quite a bit of stuff today. Made some progress on some projects. I got some new yarn colors, and I pulled up an old project, and I have a tool to show you, as well as like a really good topic question that somebody asked me last time that was really fun to think about, and I want to share with you too what I came up with. So anyways, I am in the final few days of writing and editing the pattern for this shawl. This is the Fjord Shawl. It's officially the name I've decided to give it. And it has a big juicy cable in the middle and then 3 tassels. It's about 6 feet wide and about 20 inches deep. And I will put out a testing call hopefully by the end of this week. And I will put a link below, or like a note below, if when this episode comes out, I'm looking for testers. So it looks like you want to do a farmy yarn garter shawl for this coming fall and winter. It looks like something you'd like to test. You can email me directly at VictoriousWool@gmail.com. And a couple of you already have. Thank you so much for reaching out. I think for the sock pattern, I think a couple people, that was what people were interested in, but this shawl as well. I was at Farmer's Market a few weeks ago, and I was wearing it, and someone came up to buy goat cheese, and they were like, oh, that's really pretty. I'm a knitter too, and is the pattern available? And I said, not yet. And they said, I want to test. So thank you, Francine, for just meeting me and volunteering right there, then and there. I'm really grateful that people show interest in my stuff and support me in that way. This shawl is special because it just was made out of pure joy for this yarn and for wanting something that's just enjoyable to work on. It was very quick, and I will probably cast on another. I was thinking of like a beige one or off-white, because I have a lot of Lopi. It's getting stuck on my earrings a little bit, but it's okay. I have a lot of Let Lopi and a lot of Plotulopi, and I will cast on again. I think maybe when my testers cast on, that would just be fun, but definitely around the release date, because it's fun to be knitting something that you're actively promoting. I think it just is more exciting for people to see it, and it's also what I'm thinking about when I'm talking about it and posting about it and stuff, so it's really helpful to be in a whip of it. So I'm looking forward to the weather being like cozy, or so I can wear it on a regular basis. I did wear it to Farmer's Market one day when it was really cloudy, I think at the end of August. I usually talk about the weather right away because it's a big part of our lives here in the Puget Sound. You would think that we would be used to the rain and get over it, but we are obsessed all the time. We're constantly every day talking about it for the most part. Maybe not when we're in the middle of the winter and it's gray all the time, besides being like, oh, the weather. But when there's a possibility of it being actually sunny or nice, we are always talking about it and always thinking about it, because the sun is so precious. we have had a little bit of smoke coming from Eastern Washington, and so there were a couple of days where I was holed up in the house with the air filters on, and that was a bummer. And there's a little bit of smoke today, just a little bit, and a little bit yesterday, but in the afternoon it all cleared up yesterday, and I did yoga out on the deck, and it was just like a stunning day. I like going outside and being like just really celebrating that it's not going to be like this for very long, so you really have to soak in those like September days where it's perfect, you know, it's like 70 degrees, and it's lovely. So anyways, the Fjord Shawl, I hope that it will be out by the end of October, because I'm going to try to give my testers a full month. So if I launch the test knit this week, then I want to give everybody a month. But it's made with Lopi, which is fastly becoming like a yarn that I feel more and more comfortable the more I wear it. Yeah, and I was writing my pattern notes for it and being like, I want to encourage people to like give it a try, but also be like, totally don't pressure yourself if rustic yarns are not for you. I definitely would call it rustic. It's definitely crunchy. I'd still call it soft. For me, everybody's experiences are different. I know people just, you know, can't wear it, but it warms up to the body, and then I think that there's little like the hairs that stick out can like bother people, but those kind of get like, as you wear it, kind of get flattened out and they felt together, so it just sort of becomes less and less noticeable. I definitely, yeah, it feels good. If it's really hot, no way. It's definitely a cold weather yarn for sure, no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. The other finished item I wanted to share was something that people are buying, and I haven't started talking about it again for the coming season because it's just been a little lagging behind, right? Yeah, especially when the weather's nice, not necessarily thinking about autumn knits, but I've been selling pattern, the farmer's market mitten pattern, which I released, I think, February of this year. So it's a fingerless mitten that has cables on the cuff and on the thumb, which is always really hard for me to show. This blue one's a little bit more visible. Cable goes all the way up to the thumb, and then the flap on the top folds over, and there are cables on that as well. Which this yarn that I originally used for this pattern is felted a little bit from wear, so they're not as distinct as they were. I love this yarn though, it's so good. This is custom woolen mills, I think out of Alberta, Canada. And I got this yarn when I was in Knit City in 2019. And it's a lot like Loft from Brooklyn Tweed. It's a different breed. It does have, it just feels a little different, but it's similar. So I have my gray pair, and then I used Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co., which is out of Northern Ireland, to make the blue pair, which is just a smoother yarn. I think for sure, worsted spun. And I made a shorter cuff because I was realizing that I wear these outside when I am working at farmer's market, and the cuff for the gray ones was just a little bit too long for the coat that I wear a lot of the winter. So I was wanting to knit another pair where the cuff just meets my cuff of my jacket. So yeah. So people are starting to buy it maybe for themselves, for gifts. They're thinking ahead. I don't know, but I just wanted to mention it again. I'll be wearing them a lot, and they are pretty quick knit. So that's available on Ravelry and VictoriousWool.com, where all my patterns are available. And I do need to make this winter, I always need more of these because I want a pair in every jacket and every pocket, so I don't have to think about taking them with me, and I just always have them. There's a pattern called Zever that I released my first year designing. It also has a cable that runs the full length of the top of the hand. and a thumb cable. You can kind of see that. I do love the idea of a thumb cable. I need to make another pair of these. This is sort of like my sample pair. They're white, so I don't want to ruin them, so I don't wear them as much, but the fit of these is so good. This is a Magpie Fibers Swanky sock, and it's just a really nice, it slouches really well on the wrist, so I want to make another pair of these for winter. I think I knit them on a 1, maybe a 2, and I have lots of sock yarn. Superwash sock yarn that would be good for this too. A lot of fun Homespun House colors. I think the cable would show up on a solid better, but I haven't even thought about what colors yet. I just pulled these out to show you, and I thought, oh, you know, I need to knit another pair of those. So if you're thinking about short projects, gifts for people, stocking up your coats and jackets, it's a really good pattern. Both of those are fun. The progress on my whips is as such. I finished the first piece of the Amigas. So last week I showed you the pink one I had made a couple years ago. It has this diagonal knit and purl stitch on the side, and you start with that and then you knit across and then you finish it off, and it'll be like this on the body. I need to knit the back piece. But yeah, finish the front or the back, whichever one. Doesn't even matter, like when you seam it, you can wear whatever side of the front. So I'll probably pick whichever side is the neater, more neat side. And that's probably what I'll wear in the front. But I did cast on the second bit with plans to finish it. Today is Tuesday, September 20th. And I hope to finish the second piece by a week from Saturday. So I have like a week and a half. It's a pretty fast knit too, so I know it's not time for summer knits. I always cast on a summer knit in August, so that's probably not as so exciting for everybody, but I think it'll be nice to have to wear underneath cardigans. And oftentimes in the winter I'm layering 2 or 3 sweaters when I work outside, so it'll be nice to have a couple of options of layers to wear that don't have sleeves. It's a little tricky to get sweater sleeves inside other sweater sleeves if the sleeves are fitted. So I'm happy with that progress. I also made progress on my waiting for Henry. I think I just had the color work finished, but last time I recorded, but I started the 3x1 rib, which I decided I really do love. I think I've only done it once before, but it just looks so good. And it's so stretchy. I did change something. I just love a heel flap and gusset. I don't love afterthought heels as much as I used to. I have 2 patterns that have them, I think, right? I think both my previous sock patterns have afterthought heels, but I think after I designed those and released those, I just knit more socks with heel flap and gusset and just came to love it so much. So this pattern had an afterthought heel, and I changed it to make it a heel flap and gusset. So tell me what you think. Does it look funny to have a heel flap and gusset be a different color? I think it's okay. Yeah. I just need to knit a little bit more and do the toe. So that came together pretty nicely. And I think last time I talked about how I did a size 2 for this little bit of color work and then went back to a size 1. It is a tight fit, this sock, but I think I will be able to manipulate it in blocking because, yeah, I think I will be able to like just not stretch because it's not going to go very far, but yeah, give it some. I could put it on my sock blockers. It just needs to be a little bit stretched out to fit. Even probably wearing it will do that. So I'd like to finish this sock this week and get the second one cast on. I generally have like too many whips for my liking right now, so I'm thinking about like what would be done fastest. Like what should I put my energy on to get it out? I got to get it out so that I can move on to new things. If I let stuff linger around too long, I just get tired of it. I have made a lot of progress on my first light, which I feel like most of that progress I've made in the last few days. Setting arbitrary knitting goals for me really works. So I had the goal of finishing the body by this coming Saturday, and I finished like 5 or 6 days ahead. Because yeah, sometimes knitting goals just really work for me. I get really excited. So this is the body. This is a bottom-up sweater called the First Light Sweater, and by Liv something. You can find the link below. I made my body about 14 inches. And I wanted to talk about trying on bottom-up sweaters. So I have heard other knitters say that it's just as easy to try on a bottom-up sweater than as a top-down sweater. And I think the problem is we're just out of practice, or we've never done it before. And I haven't knit a bottom-up sweater in quite a long time. I haven't knit one in the round in a few years. My very first sweater was bottom-up, and bottom-up raglan, I think. So you knit the body, you knit the sleeves, and then you kind of string them all on one long circular needle, and then you decrease. And that's what this one is too. This is a yoke, but the same kind of concept. And you just have to know like how to, I think it has to do with practice, like getting good information over many sweaters to kind of inform you of like how long you need to make the body or how long to make the sleeves. But you can still try them on. You just have to think about it. Here's my first sleeve, cast it on this morning. That I've been trying it on by putting my hand in here and being like, okay, I want it to be here. And I need to go, you know, I've kind of decided based on the look of the sweater, it doesn't explicitly say, but it doesn't explicitly tell you how long to knit the body and the sleeves, but because I have longer arms and torso than average, I always have to add more to that. So I'm kind of going to give myself a 2-inch spot from my actual armpit to where I'm going to stop knitting the sleeves and the body so that there's actually space there. And the yoke is pretty long. I could get really, really specific and be like, how many rows is the yoke? Like literally from the chart all the way up to the neckline. And I could take my gauge that I'm getting in the color work and I could say, okay, well, I'm getting 6 rows per inch and there's this many rows. And so if I knit those rows with that gauge, I'm going to get a piece that's this long. I could be really like precise about it. I might be still, I need to knit the colorwork swatch. I still haven't done that because the colorwork is happening up here. You knit the body and the sleeves first. It's just something I've not prioritized doing. So once I actually have a colorwork gauge, I could see how long is that really going to be. So I hope that makes sense. It's like you can look in the pattern and count how many rows there are from the join of the body and the sleeves up to the cast off. You can get a good amount. You can get that information of like how many rows it's going to be, and you can multiply that by how many rows per inch you're actually knitting and see if that's going to work. And I kind of feel like winging it, but I think once I knit the colorwork swatch and I actually have a gauge measurement, I might look. Anyways, let me show you how to try on. You know, you put the sleeve on and you can like look, oh, okay, it's long. I did decide that this gauge is a little bit bigger than the body. I think it's pretty close. Anyways, I decided that I'm actually gonna rip out back to the cuff and I'm gonna knit with one size smaller because it's a little big. And I thought, well, I'll just stop increasing when the sleeve is at the right width for my arm, but I can't do that because I need a certain number of stitches right here when I bring the body and the sleeve together. For the colorwork chart, I need to have a specific number of stitches on each sleeve. So I can't just wing it like I would top down. So I'm gonna rip it out and do it with one size down. And then I think it'll be less baggy. It's very oversized in the pattern. If you look at the pictures in the pattern, the sleeves are like big, but I personally don't love that. And I have like 12 more stitches I need to add. And I really, before I would get to the end, and I really don't think I need that many. And so if I make it a little smaller, then that might help take care of that issue. But this is how I tried this on. I kind of want to take my earrings off. Smart move, no rings. And this is not very scientific. I could put it on waste yarn, but this yarn these stitches are just like very stable. They're not slipping. They're gonna pop off the needle tips, but they're not gonna go anywhere because this is Lopi. It don't do that, so I'm not worried about it. So yeah, that's what you do. Probably put it on waste yarn. Put needle stoppers on the edge, or put it on your needle, what's that called? Knitting barber cord, and then try it on. But with this particular project, I'm fine. Yeah, and so I went into the mirror in the bathroom and I like found the spot on my hip bone where I wanted the sweater to end. And then I like gently made sure I wasn't stretching. And then I was like, I think I'm good. I'm like 2 inches from the bottom. Yep, there's a lot of space. It's gonna be a little bit more oversized than this looks because right now it's just sort of like, but yeah, good things to keep in mind. And that's how you know if you're close. I mean, people often talk about how they made a bottom up sweater and it's too short, too long. But if you try it on and trying it on, like make sure you just try it on. Might still not make the right choice, but you can do that. Let's see how many popped off here. Oh, not even that many. And they didn't go anywhere. Yeah, that's my opinion. We just don't knit bottom up sweaters as much as we knit top down, and so we're unfamiliar with how to do it really. And I just don't think it's any easier or harder to knit them. Same goes for set and sleeve seam sweaters. We just don't do it. So we don't learn the experience. I think knitting a top down sweater is weird at first as well. So I am always wanting to learn more about knitting and to try something new. Like not all the time, but definitely like I'm into that. I finished my second blue and orange striped sock. I don't have a name for this pattern yet. It's got a heel flap and gusset as well. I started weaving in the ends. I need I need to watch, what was I thinking about doing? Sometimes it's like, I gotta find the like right distraction, either like it really into an audiobook or like a show that I don't have to read the subtitles for, which is not very, do that very often. I am always watching Korean TV. So anyways, I was thinking about how could I get these increases sewn in. The first sock I did where I like laid it out and I would walk by and just like weave one in and then walk away and come back, and did it over like a few hours in a day. But I just need to get this one done, and then I can start writing the details for how much yarn I used and what the gauge is and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully I make some progress on that. I just have a lot of stuff to do this week and a lot of business stuff. So I finished it, and I also have a lot of yarn to show you. So this is Knit Picks Stroll, and it is a very inexpensive yarn. I think I talked about it last time. It's like $7 a ball. You only need 2 balls for a pair of socks. My pattern is gonna probably require 3 because of the contrast color, but you can always use scraps. Mini skeins, and I'll know exactly how much of the contrast color that you'll need when I do the details. But I bought a lot of colors, so I just want to show them to you because they're fun and like show you color combinations I was thinking about. My 2 that I picked were Persimmon Heather and Prussian Heather, so kind of a navy, and this really lovely orange, kind of a pumpkin-y orange. Love these 2. Then there's Oyster Heather, which is a creamy color. There's Barley Heather, which is a nice yellow. It's a little on the green side as opposed to golden or orange side, but I really like it. So many to choose from. Which will I show you next? So many. I have so many. Wellies Heather, which is black. And all the tweedy bits are the same color. They're all brown, white, and black. Flagstone Heather, which is a medium gray. And we've got probably the color stealer, the most spectacular one, which is Sequoia. And this is a hard one to capture on camera because it's like this really beautiful deep green. It's really nice. So definitely excited about this color a lot. I got Firecracker. This is a really beautiful red. And Barn Door, which is a little bit purple. And then the third red is Garnet Heather. So together, I would say these 2 seem similar, but when you look up close, I think this room is too warm to really see the difference, but this is just so much more brown and this is so much more blue. But I love all 3 of these. Marine. And then North Sea. So the blues are, they have more blues, by the way. I just didn't get them all. This is the Prussian one. Then we have Farmhouse, which is brown. It's nice always to pair colors together to try to see the color with different, see the color change when you show it next to another color. Dill, also a color, a scene stealer. Showstopper, that's the word I'm looking for. The showstopper. Dill is so good. Yeah, such a good color. Lost Lake, which is a kind of a little bit of a bluey green. So we've got Dill, Sequoia, and Lost Lake. Very nice. And did I show you down other? The gray, light gray. This is a great, this one will go with so many different things. So I then got all these colors and I was like, well, I'm gonna make another sock immediately. And what do I wanna do? So I cast on the Garnet Heather with a gray stripe and I was like, it's nice, but these 2 together are just like so good that I was like, I think maybe I either need to do the oyster instead or go just totally like academic back to school and do red with the blue. I think this is gonna win over. It's just like the vibe I'm going for right now. So I think I'm gonna take out the stripe and start again. But you know, only 15 rows to rip back. No big deal. But I do really love this red. So yeah, I have like this little rainbow and I put them all on the table in like little color families and it was just really fun. And it wasn't a yarn order that broke the bank, and there's many more colors that I could still get, and I want them all now actually, because it's like, I want to mix and match. It's just so fun. There's way more socks than I probably will ever knit, but this is also black, in case you want a solid. This is just regular stole instead of the tweed. So I do have this too. I think I'd like to do a wellies, which is the tweedy black with a bunch of pinks. I could have a bunch of pink scraps. And I could do like different pink, and it would be cool also to do with the heel flap. I could do different stripes of pink to mirror the stripes, and all kinds of different combinations. It's so fun. So I want to finish some of my other projects so I could just cast on like, I don't know, 2 or 3 pairs of socks. Such a soft yarn. I love knitting with it. Yeah, it's really great. So buy some Knit Pick Stroll and make a pair of striped socks when I release the pattern in probably November, because I'm, not done writing it, and then I got to go through the process with the tech editor. Testers. The last project I have to show you is an oldie. This is the beginning of the Halibut pullover by Dami Hunter. I cast it on probably springtime, right when she released it, I think, pretty much. It's got a big turtleneck, and yeah, it's gonna be lovely. I'm making it in the Kelbourne Woolens Scout. No, yes, Scout. Yeah, the DK. I don't remember. I think this is Oatmeal Leather, and I don't remember the name of this colorway. But I haven't done anything with it at all for many months, and I pulled it out, and I was sad to see that I hadn't done very much, because I was like, oh, I have a lot to go. I have like 50 colorwork rows, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the time goes on. But it's the perfect time of year to knit it, because it'll be really lovely to have it's going to be a little oversized colorwork pullover. So just thought I knit a couple rows and thought I'd show you, because it's just looking so good already. I love Kelbourne Woolens Scout for colorwork. I've always enjoyed doing it with that yarn. I happened to look at this tool while I was picking up all my stuff to record today, and I just want to mention, if you have never had this idea before, lots of knitters use these. This is your knit neck light. So if you're knitting socks that are, say, like dark blue or black, and the room is a little dark, it's getting darker through the evening, you might want to get one of these. I think I got mine off of Amazon a while back. It is battery powered, which you can recharge. The little spot gives you a little cord, and you can choose between a blue light or yellow light. There's 3 choices: orange light. Anyways, and there's brightnesses, and it definitely goes through if I knit for a few nights, I can go through the battery, and I'll have to charge it, and it'll be really, really bright again. So I was like, I'm knitting, and I'm like, I can't really see. I don't think my battery's low, but they're really handy, and I keep it right by my bedside table. Sometimes it's in my knitting basket if I'm working on a dark project. It's really helpful. So I got a great question last episode. Knitter asked me, because I mentioned getting out of a knitting slump, getting my mojo back was the phrase. And they asked me how I got out of it, kind of implying that they were in one too. And it made me think about a few different things. And I hope that I remember this for myself when it happens again, because I'm sure it will. Which is like, it's valuable to know some helpful tips to motivate yourself, to get excited about projects again. And it's also helpful to know why you got in the slump in the first place. Like what happened to like kill the creative energy. that was going strong and isn't anymore. So for me, I started designing. How you have a lot of pressure as a designer to make stuff, to do all this work. Basically, it takes like maybe some time that I was knitting and making just anything I felt like, took some of that time and I put it in this new direction, which had a lot of pressure added to it. So that, you know, after a few years, you do feel a little bit of burnout and you just don't feel the same way about the craft. It's not necessarily bad. I just knit a lot slower last year, and even this year, I just knit less and I knit slower on projects, which is probably better overall. That the slow craft was taking its time. It felt healthier to me. I also stopped buying yarn last year. I went a whole year without buying yarn. I didn't buy patterns hardly, and I think that lack of yarn pressure of like, oh, these packages are coming, oh, these new patterns I want to cast on. I think I just pushed through and I finished stuff a lot because I had things coming in the mail or I wanted to get started on the next thing. So because I took that pressure off myself by not buying yarn, I just knit less. So it kind of slid me into the like slump of like not being excited about things because I wasn't like able to impulsively just go with what I felt like. So I kind of try to pull that back in a little bit by balancing both finishing things and the need for refreshing palette color. Like all these soft colors are super exciting because a lot of this year I knit with neutral colors. So I'm like really excited about color combinations. So I kind of did it to myself, and I know that picking something that you're very interested in is the way to go to get it out of it. And I think it might require like waiting. Like I use the analogy of the cat. You know, if you chase your cat around and try to pet it and cuddle with it, it will just run away from you and get pissed off. But if you just sit and quietly do something or you're engaged in a project, your cat will come along and like want you to pet it and pester you and like climb all over your keyboard and stuff of like, pay attention to me. And I think that's creative energy. Like you kind of have to wait for it. And I think you can tempt it with fun things. So that person who asked this question saw my EZV and thought, well, maybe that pattern isn't necessarily calling to me, but maybe I could try that. And I was like, well, if it's not the, like, you have to make it or you'll die kind of feeling, then like, that's not the thing that's going to help get you jump started. So I'd be like, pick a pattern that you're really excited about, pick colors that you so excited to work with. And then I think that will help. And you just kind of got to wait. I knew that I wasn't as into knitting. I was spending a lot of time learning Korean and watching Korean TV in 2021, which I can now knit while I watch because I can read subtitles now faster. And I recognize a lot of Korean words now. It's easier for me than it was at first. But I just really couldn't. I was like taking a lot of my knitting time and I was doing something else. Like you can't just add more activities into your life without taking away from something else. So I knit less because I was doing something else that was very enjoyable, and I'm really glad I did it. And yeah, so that could be some of the reasons for why my loss of knitting mojo and me getting back into it is reaching for things that are really enjoyable. So that's my experience. I'd love to hear about other people talk about like if they've gotten in a knitting slump before and if they have great tips or things that were working for them to get them out of it. That'd be cool too. Please share. And always ask me questions. I will hopefully answer in the comments in a couple of days. And if it's a question I feel like could use a more fleshed out answer, I would love to talk about it on here. Please let me know. Looking to see if there's anything else. There's nothing else. The end of the month is coming and October will be here soon. I think the best month of the year. My birthday's in October. October is just like, I feel like maybe every month is like this except for January, February, and March perhaps. But like every month has its own feeling, memories from the past, and they all feel really precious and they just slip on through. And I think September and October are like that. And once we get into November and it starts raining a lot and there's all these windstorms and it's cold, then it feels like it goes on forever. But those months have special special things about them as well. January is just lame. It's always hard. Every year I'm going to do all these activities to like make January enjoyable, and it just sucks a lot. And there's oftentimes like traumatic events happening in the world in January too, as well as the weather being really hard. It's just like, okay, it's just too much. We need some positivity here. It just goes on forever and ever. So yeah, something to think about and just accept probably. But anyways, I hope your last week of September, is it this week? Next week's the last week of September. I hope the end of September is really lovely for you and you enjoy your knitting projects and you're making something fun. Thanks so much. I'll see you later.